everyone here knows each other a bit, at least. Um, but on behalf of the Religious Studies Student Forum, I want to introduce Dr. Jill Anderson. She's our subject area librarian, immensely knowledgeable. You need to find anything, go to her. She also works with the philosophy and communications and African American studies departments.
And women's studies. I have a
And
really
women's
long
studies.
title. I have a really long title.
Mhm. Yes. And we're going to be talking about Zotero, which I guess is a tool for citations on
Resource
research
management.
projects.
Mhm.
So I'll let you take it away. Thank you for speaking with us.
You're welcome. Hi, my name is Jill Anderson. I'm going to apologize in advance for any technical weirdness. I'm going to be switching between multiple different apps, and so there may be some clicking back and forth. And we're just going to see. If it doesn't work, I'll go old school and show where one is at a time. Um, Enough of that. So I'm going to be talking to you today about Zotero and walking you through just the basic steps of using Zotero. Zotero is what's called a citation management system, which is a fancy term that probably means zero to you. Yay, citations management system. What Zotero does is once you've got it downloaded, and I'm going to walk through real quick how to download it. I'm not going to be able to troubleshoot downloading for you all because I have limited time and that can be a project all by itself. But once you've got it downloaded onto your laptop, your computer, it's meant to work with your personal computer. Once it's downloaded, this sounds creepier than it actually is, or maybe it is creepy. It is October. It will follow you around and know what you are doing as you are doing research. So if you have, yes, it's creepy. If you have Zotero downloaded, and I'll show you what it looks like in a minute, and you happen to be looking up articles in, say, Atla, Zotero is there with you. Maybe a better way to say it's your companion in research. It is there with you and it knows what you are looking at. And that it knows that you're looking at articles. If you're in a book catalog, like the library catalog, or even in something like Amazon, it will know that you are looking at books. And if you find an article or a book, and I'm going to show you, demonstrate how this looks, and what it looks like. You will be able to, if you're looking at an article and that's a great article and I want that article, there will be an icon that Zotero has placed into your browser that you will be able to click, and all of the citation information for that article is going to go straight into Zotero, which will hold all of the raw citation information for you until it is time for you to, and then when it is time, it will drop it into Word, Microsoft Word for you in the correct, in whichever format you tell it to. So if you need to cite an APA style, it will do that for you. It'll reformat that information into APA style. There's a few things you have to change manually, but not a lot, and I'll show you how to do that. If you need it to be in Chicago Manual of Style, which is the world I am from, and which can be kind of complicated, it will format that raw citation information into Chicago Manual of style, and put it in your Word document. So it really does two things. I think of it as doing two things. It holds the citations for you, it travels with you and drops that information into Zotero for you. And then when it's time, you can use Zotero in conjunction. It's called word integration. You can actually move those citations very easily from Zotero into Word in a way that feels it's kind of magical. It's not actually magical, but it does reduce a lot of the work in terms of putting a citation into a Word paper, and it will also, and this I find super helpful, automatically create a bibliography for you. So that's the description of what Zotero looks like. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through. I'm going to go very quickly through just the steps involved in um, downloading Zotero. And then I'm going to go into my Zotero, which is huge and holds a whole bunch of stuff, and show you what it looks like to search for an article and put it into Zotero, search for a book and put it into Zotero, and search for a website and put it into Zotero. That's going to be pretty quick. Then, because I'll have created a little Zotero library in doing that, then I'm going to show you how to put the citations from those items into your Word document so that you'll come out of this with a basic sense of how Zotero works in terms of getting the citations, and then what it's like to put the citations into Word. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to hope this works. I'm going to start by going to, that's share. So this, what I'm looking at here, this is the opening page to Zotero.org. And in order to get started with Zotero.org, you have to set up an account. I'm already logged in, it knows who I am. If you don't have an account with Zotero, it's free, it's easy. You have free storage up to a fairly high amount. I have exceeded that amount, but you don't have to. Here there'd just be a link off asking you to register. It's very easy. You just go and register. After you've registered, you want to click on, guess what, this giant download button. In case you missed it, there is a giant red download button there. You want to click on that. And first of all, you want to download this up on the left. You want to download Zotero 5.0 for Windows. Yay. The other thing, and then after you've done that, and this needs to be after you first create an account, then download Zotero for Windows. And then you need to go over here and install whatever connector is relevant for your browser. Right now it knows that I'm in Chrome. So it's asking me to download the Zotero connector. I have already done this for the first time. So you need to do this the first time. Zotero will work with Safari, Chrome, and Firefox. And if you switch browsers, you'll need to download a connector for that browser because you're basically telling Zotero how to talk to the browser you're using so that it can follow you around in that browser. You're enabling the creepiness, in other words. It does not work on Internet Explorer or Edge. It's not built for that. So if you're going to be using Zotero, you're going to need to use Chrome, Firefox, or Safari, and you need to download this connector. This connector is what makes Zotero talk to the things that are showing up in your browser. So you do need both of that. So first of all, just download plain old Zotero. Second of all, download Zotero connector. After you've downloaded those, it's a good idea to open up Word. I'm going to see if I can share both my Word and this. So you can see I've got a very important sentence here. Once you've downloaded Zotero and the connector, you should see Zotero here in the Word ribbon. You see where I'm circling there? Right now I have a thing informing me that I'm sharing blocking that, but I was circling the word Zotero. If you're using a Mac, you'll see it'll also be, there's usually maybe one or two ribbons. It'll be in one of the two ribbons at the top here. So it should say Zotero. And that tells me that now Zotero is set up to talk to Word. So I can do the magical Word integration a little bit later. Once you've downloaded Zotero, I don't know if you can see my dock here, it'll show up in your dock or in your applications as a bright red Z on a shield. So I'm going to open Zotero. Let's see if it's going to let me. So this is what Zotero looks like. Can you see Zotero? Just can somebody give me a thumbs up or something?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I have two monitors going and I'm sort of looking at you all over on the other monitor. I can't see chats right now. So if there's a chat, somebody might need to say, hey, there's a chat. Okay. So this is Zotero. I have a lot of stuff in Zotero. I've been using for a long time. I tend to have lots of different projects going at the same time. Some of them are projects that have been abandoned, some of them, and I don't want to get rid of them. But the main idea of Zotero, and there's a reason I'm in this. This is a project I'm currently working on, is that it was deliberately built to look like iTunes. If you're on a Mac, iTunes has gone away and was turned into music, but it is built originally to look like iTunes. And what that means is that over here, you can create separate folders for your materials. These are the playlists. You can add, and this section here, these are the individual items. This is for a project I'm working on now. And so this is, if I make this a little bit bigger, you can see here's the title, the creator, the date, the publication. It's much like iTunes in that I can select which things I want to reveal. But these are the individual articles, books, whatever. So these are like the songs. And just like in iTunes, you can have one song in multiple folders. In other words, if you have one song in one of these folders, that's in my Erdman file, I might want it in another file that I like, my Felsen file, which is a related paper. It's going to have different stuff, but if I wanted to have one really super awesome article in both of those, I could do that without it moving. And so it's very much like iTunes, you know, one song and more than one playlist. And then this section over here, if I click here, let me find a good one. That's actually not good. If I click over here, if I click on a particular song, I can actually, and just like iTunes, I can actually sort these. I'm trying to find a good article. Okay, so this is just an example from my thing. Over here, if I click on a song, I get all of the raw citation information over here, just like get info. So it knows it was a journal article. Here's the title. Here's the author. Here's the abstract gets dropped in. Here's the name of the journal, the pages, all of the information that's needed, including if it was pulled up electronically. If you are using a citation cell that needs that electronic citation, it will hold that for you as well. So all of that information plus some extra, the DOI, the language, it'll tell you what date you put this in. So I put this in a while ago. I've modified it since. All of this is the raw citation information, and it's holding this information for me so that I can format it, so that it will format me later. Also, all of this is editable. So if I look at this, and that's the author, the author was accidentally listed first name last or something. I can go in and change that. And the example I'm going to use, I'm going to have to change so you can see that. This is, like I said, the raw information, and whatever is in this information here is what's going to go into the citation. So sometimes I've seen journals goof up the dates, or, for example, drop it in with the month capitalized, and that's not how a citation style is going to work. So if it shows up like that, you can actually just go in and say, no, it's August. There's a few little things that you might have to tweak manually, but it's tweaking. It's not typing the whole citation. The whole citation is here for you. You just have to edit it a little bit here and there to make sure it's going to turn up right in the citation. But that's the basic concept of Zotero, is that you're dropping in individual items. You can put them into playlists, and then the raw information shows up over here on the side. Now I have created, because obviously I have a lot of stuff going on here, I usually create a blank folder for teaching that I just call teaching. This is what an empty Zotero section folder will look like. This is what Zotero will look like when you first open it. There will be nothing in it. And what I'm going to do now is a little demo of how to get an article. And I'm going to do both Atla and JSTOR because JSTOR is special and a little more high maintenance. I'm going to show you then how to put a book in and how to put a website in. And then what I'm going to do is, after I've done that, I'm going to go back to Word and create a little site and show how you can cite from those using Word, so how you can cite the things we just put in. So I'm going to share my screen again. Let me just make see all of what I'm sharing. We're viewing 3 applications. So I'm going to go back to, can you see the Zotero page? Is that showing up? Somebody say yes.
Yes.
Okay, yay. Okay, it worked. I'm happy. Okay, so I'm going to start by showing you how to use an article. And I'm going to go to an old familiar database. I'm going to go to, I'm going to scroll all the way down to Atla. And I'm going to do an example from a class that I just taught for. This is Claire's religion and health class. It's going to think for a minute. And this was a student who was interested in, I'm just going to use the basic search. Actually, no, I should be good to use the advanced search just to remind you that it's here. And I was just saying, this is the box not to check because that will limit you to full text of just this database. We don't want that. So I have this is for Claire's where they're focusing on alternative health things. And I have a student who asked about Reiki. I'm going to just click on Reiki or healing touch or therapeutic touch. This is not as important as what I'm going to show you. So it's going to search. And so I'm going to go over here and limit it to scholarly peer review just because. So for example, this one here, let's say we were interested in this. If I wanted to put this into Zotero, actually, and you notice up here, there's a little icon that looks like a folder. That is Zotero saying, hey, it looks like you're looking at a list of articles. And if I clicked on that, it would give me all the articles on the page. I don't use that a whole lot because I find that a little bit, I kind of want to know first if I want the article before I just drop it into Zotero. I can click on this title, which is good practice anyway, because you learn a lot about this article, like the helpful subject terms. Those are actually not so helpful, but in general, yes. But up here, if you see this, that little folder has turned into a white rectangle with squiggles on it, which is Zotero's way of saying, hey, I see that you are looking at an article. Indeed, I am. Is it recording?
It is.
Yeah,
Oh, are we okay? Okay.
sorry, I meant
Sorry.
to send that to Nathan. We're trying to coordinate. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
No. I just wanted to. I just had a moment of like, I will stop and not so that we don't, have a weird gap, a weirder gap than usual. So this is saying you are looking at an article. And if I click on that icon, it is going to drop this article for me into Zotero. So I'm going to click it. And notice that it says it's saving into teaching. You know how when you save into a playlist, you have to tell it which playlist to go to, or it'll go to the most recent one? Zotero is the same way. So that's why I navigated to that empty teaching folder. Otherwise, it would end up in the last folder I used. And I do not remember which was the last folder I used. So it's always good. If you're using folders, you need to select the one that you want the thing to go into. And notice it didn't say full text. This was a bad choice of mine. So that article has gone into Zotero. And I'm going to go over to Zotero, and you can see it's been added into Zotero. If you're seeing, are you all seeing Zotero now?
Yes.
Okay, yay. It's so weird that I can see everything on my screen and I can't be 100% sure of what you're seeing. I'm sharing 3 applications at once and I should be able to move between them. So you can see here it is in the song field. And here over here is all of the information about it. And already I can see one thing. I am from the land of Chicago Manual of Style. And Chicago Manual of Style does want everything in the title capitalized, or the main words, not the prepositions and stuff. Sorry, getting too picky. If I right click on this title field, I'm doing that now, it's going to say, would you like to choose a case? And I can choose title case. It isn't going to do that automatically. If you're using APA style, it is going to want it to be sentence case. But you still have to tweak it a little bit because sentence case doesn't mean you don't want the first word after the colon to be capitalized. So you can, again, you can edit. If it had gotten any of this stuff wrong, I could edit it, but notice it's got everything that you would need to cite already dropped in. So there it is. What it didn't do, if I click here, if I click on this little arrow, if that had been available as a PDF, and I'll show you that in a second, it would automatically attach the PDF. In this case, because it's a link to full text, the link there would take you just back to the EBSCO record. And you click here where it says full text. And so there's the article. That's a little more complicated. I mean, that's a way of getting it in there. If we had it, okay, stop this. Okay, for some reason, this doesn't want to take me back to the list of, okay. For some reason, this is not wanting to take me back to Atla, and there's a thing that keeps telling me I'm sharing, which, yes, I know. Hang on a sec. Sorry, the thing that is telling me that I was sharing keeps helpfully coming down over the tabs, so I'm having a little trouble navigating around that. Let's go back to Atla and let's try a different one. So this one that says PDF full text, if we click on that one, I need to get through this a little more quickly. Here is the Zotero icon. You're looking at an article. I am indeed. I'm going to go over here back to Zotero, and that second one has come in. And it's thinking a little bit. And again, here's all the information. And there's the arrow. And the arrow just tells you there's something else here that's attached to it. And it says EBSCO full text. If I click on that link, because this one did say PDF full text in the record, if I click on that, it's going to open the PDF. And there it is. If you are doing that, if you have a situation where this is automatically attached to PDF like this, you get to keep the PDF. That PDF is now stored in Zotero for you. In other words, you can go into Zotero and click that PDF and you just have it. You don't have to go put in your campus ID or password. It's been officially saved out of the system and put into your Zotero, which can be a really helpful thing to know. You don't have to sign in and you already have access to it. Also a neat little trick, if it just says something like, EBSCO full text, which is not that helpful, you can right click on that and you get this completely, again, we were talking counterintuitive before. If you click on rename file from parent metadata, that's really a clunky way of saying, give it a reasonable title. Because look what this did. It just renamed that PDF according to the article. So there's the author's last name, the date, and the title. Much better than just like EBSCO PDF, which doesn't tell you a whole lot. So this is already, so you have this now. You have that PDF that has been downloaded, is in Zotero. Zotero has a certain amount of storage space. It's pretty high that is free to you. Once you hit the limit, which I have hit, you may have to pay. It's because I have a lot of PDFs stored here and a lot of stuff going on. It takes a while to hit that limit though. So when you first get started, it's totally fine to store PDFs in here. That's what this is for. One quick thing, and then I'm going to go on to showing the book. JSTOR is a little bit different. We saw with Atla that it just automatically attached the PDF. JSTOR, JSTOR, J for JSTOR, there it is. Okay. JSTOR is a little fussier in terms of getting things in. So if I look for an article in JSTOR and I find it, this one for example, if I click on this, and it's going to think a little bit, there's that icon. But if I drop it into Zotero without downloading it, JSTOR actually is not going to attach the PDF unless you have actively said first, I know this is stupid, download PDF, because JSTOR wants you to do this. JSTOR wants you to accept its terms and conditions. So you have to click I accept, which downloads the PDF for you. And there you've got the PDF looking at you. Well, I actually wanted to go. And after you've done that, after you've clicked download PDF and verified, yes, indeed, that is a PDF. If you click again on this article link, after you've downloaded the PDF in JSTOR, notice what it's doing. It's saying, yes, JSTOR full text PDF. If I go back to our thing, here's that article. You can see all the citation information, yay, and the little arrow. And there it says JSTOR PDF full text. Oops, I meant to generate rename. So there that is. JSTOR is a little fussy that way. It wants you to accept its terms first. So you need to open the PDF and then you can add it. Yeah. So that's getting articles in. You can see we've got 3 articles in. I can close those. And we've got PDFs for 2 of them. One was just a link to full text, so we didn't have the PDF for that. Switching over to the book catalog. Let's make sure that I spell that correctly. So now I'm in the book catalog. Using our same search term, we're building a little library around this. And for example, again, there's that folder. Hey, you're looking at a list of stuff. Let's imagine that we're interested in this book. This is actually an ebook. And here's the book record. And notice how this changes. It turns into a little blue book. And that's Zotero saying, you're looking at a book, aren't you? If I click on that, it's going to put the citation information for that book. Now, our catalog does not play super well with Zotero. I don't know why. Like for example, and this is an example of where you need to change something. So what this has as title is Reiki with the author's name. If I left the author's name in there, that would show up in the citation as part of the title, because even though it's a wonderful system, it's kind of dumb and it will only put in what you've got here. Okay, thank you, Charlotte. This is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch the rest of this. So I'm going to actually go in and take out that author's name and just leave the title Reiki, because that is the title of the book. The author's name is already correctly input. Here's the place, here's the publisher, here's the date, here's the ISBN, here's where you got it from, and here's the date that it was answered. All the information is there. What this doesn't do, you may have noticed that if you go to this, that this is an ebook. Zotero will put in the PDF of an article. It will not put in the content of an ebook, because that's a copyright violation. And Zotero, like the rest of us, wants to play fair with copyright. So if there's an ebook, it's going to give you the citation to the ebook. You'll be able to click, it will give you, hey, it came from this catalog. You'll be able to go to that catalog and open it, but it will not attach a full ebook, because that's illegal. Zotero's not going to do that for you. Same with films. I've had students, try to put like a film from Canopy into Zotero, and what it'll do is it'll store the citation information, but it won't attach the film, again, for copyright reasons. For articles are okay, that's a different thing. That's kind of also why JSTOR wanted to get you to sign off on their terms and conditions. Again, it's the legality of it. So now we've got the book into Zotero, and if we go back to Zotero, you can see here, you notice how those icons line up. So this is telling me now I've got 3 articles and 1 book in it. I'm going to do a real quick search online. I've already done this. So Reiki, and if I do cite.edu, that's going to limit me to sites that are created by universities or colleges, which is one way of thinking about reliability. It's not the only one. So this is what this is getting at. Or these are, like, for example, these are educational programs that focus on teaching Reiki. So if I click on this one, for example, you can see this. And if I wanted to add, I can add a website to Zotero. Notice this has changed now, and that's its little thing saying, hey, you're looking at a website. If I click on that, there's a good chance sometimes Zotero it depends on how the metadata, I'm not going to get into this. Sometimes websites turn up funny because it all depends on how well constructed the website is. So I've added that to Zotero. And notice here it is, Reiki. And it says, here's some funny things. Here's the title. There's no author. Remember that it was just sort of an informational page. Here's the website title. And here's the URL. And it's really important that URL show up correctly, because when you're citing, you're directing people back to this freely available website. If there's a date, I've already looked up this one, there happened not to be a date on this. But if you were doing, say, and I'm going to show this in just a second, a blog post. Let's go back to this site. So this is training programs at a particular institution, and you can see there's information about this. You could add that. That is now in your Zotero, and you can have that there. Notice how there's also a blog. I click on blog, and I wanted to do, for example, showing up to cultivate inclusive spaces. This is a guest post. So if I click on this, Zotero does have blog post as an option, but it doesn't always know that it's looking at a blog post, so I'm adding that. This is showing up to cultivate inclusive spaces. There it is. But notice how this has got all kinds of things funky here. First of all, I can actually go to item type and change this. If I click on that, here's also possible item types. I'm going to say, no, this is a blog post, and it changes a little bit. I'm probably going to keep guest blog by Kimberly Morrison in as a title, because that's part of the title, and we need to indicate that, well, maybe we'll go back. This is an inexact science, but the author information is correct. But there is a date on this. It is dated 10/15/20. So just going from that, go back to Zotero, I can say the date on this is on, so that will then become part of the citation. And especially for websites or blog posts, it's really important that you keep that date information there, because you're signaling as of October 15th, or as of the date that you added it. Sometimes that shows up in citations. This link worked. That link may break later on by indicating the date of the link, and sometimes, depending on the citation system, the date that you actually accessed it. You're saying this existed at this time. And I'm not going to go into this, but there is a way to track the history of websites. It's called the Wayback Machine, and it's part of the Internet Archive. And if somebody really wants to find this information and the link is broken, if they know roughly the date that it was put up, they can use that Wayback Machine to target that date and find that information. So that can be helpful if you're publishing and you're worried that the link might have broken. So we've added a couple of articles, a book, blog post, and a website. So we've got a little library here. I'm going to move forward into how to go now and put these citations into Word. But before I do that, does anybody have any questions about this? This is sort of the nuts and bolts, how to get stuff into Zotero. And I've only used a couple of things. If you are in Amazon, the web, you know, we all know what Amazon is. The website that sells books, we all know what Amazon is. Amazon will say, hey, you're looking at like that. Those icons will work in Amazon.com. If you're in IMDb and you're looking at film information, there will be a little film strip icon that shows up in your browser that's that is Zotero saying, hey, you're looking at film stuff. You can actually drop information from IMDb and other sites like that. You just have to, and I don't know all of them, but you have to look for, is there an icon showing up that seems to know what I'm looking at? It's always going to be on website for websites, but if it changes, then it's being smart and sort of knows what you're looking at. Are there any questions before I go into the word integration part? We're okay? Okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to now go over to Word, and I'm not sure if I'm sharing it, so let's see if I'm, yeah, I might already have that shared. Can you all see Word? Anybody not seeing Word?
I can see it.
Okay, with the important sentence. So, because, and this is going to be a little tricky because I am going to move this. Okay. So, so this is, I'm going to show this with Chicago because that is the most complicated style and if you can see it doing the most. So let's say it's time for me to start citing stuff. I'm in Word, and you can see here that because I've downloaded Zotero, it says, strangely, Zotero in this ribbon. If I click on Zotero, it's going to give me a couple of different options. If I haven't, document preferences is if I need to change the style. The first time I do this, it's going to ask me. The first time you do this, it's going to say, so what style do you want? I think I've already said this. I'm going to show what this looks like. If I say document preferences, I am getting, I hope you're seeing this, a box that lists, oh shoot, what did I just do? Okay, you can see there's a box with citation style, and then there's information. You can go in. What style do you want? Well, I want Chicago Manual of Style full note, and I want to display as footnotes or citations. If I said American Psychological Association, there's less going on with APA style. It's sort of like there's in paragraph citing, and then there's a works cited page, and so it really doesn't ask you for very much. Chicago Manual of Style is notoriously fussy, and it's kind of the most spectacular to show for this kind of thing. So I'm going to say full note, footnotes, and then, okay, so now I have said, okay, everything I'm going to put in this citation, everything I'm going to demonstrate now in this citation thing is going to be in Chicago Manual of Style. If you have used Zotero for all of your citations in a particular paper, let's say I write a paper and I use Zotero and I use it to add all Chicago Manual of Style things, and I send it off to a journal that uses Citation Manual of Style, and it rejects me, sad. And I decide, okay, I'm going to resubmit it to another journal, but this journal uses APA style. I can use Zotero to change all of those citations from Chicago to APA. I don't have to redo all of them. So there are some benefits to using just Zotero. If I added them manually, those will not transfer. So if you, not that you want to, plan to fail, but there is, if you have used Zotero, you can change it more easily. It'll magically, it's not super magic, but it'll make those changes, that adjustment for you. So if I want to add a citation, you go up to here to, surprisingly, add edit citation, and I click there, and I get this mysterious red bar. It doesn't tell me anything. Okay, there's a red bar. What that wants is you can start typing in keywords, and as it does that, remember I asked about Reiki, because I practiced this yesterday, there's some double citations. So here's the book, for example. You can see, basically I just did a keyword Reiki and it turned up everything that I have that uses the word Reiki. And again, I did a little playing with this yesterday, so there's some stuff. So here's the book. I could actually say, okay, click, and now it's set to cite that book. If I only wanted to cite certain pages of that book, I just left clicked on that, turn dark blue. Let's say I'm making this up. I just want something, I'm just citing these 5 pages. Notice what that did, that changed that. So, and you can put together, you can use multiple citations, you can keep adding things. didn't show that article, but it's kind of a fun one. So I can just add as many things as I need to, if you're using Chicago Manual of Style, often you're putting like one footnote at the end of a paragraph. So I'm imagining, a paragraph that has multiple sources, and so you can stack them together like this. So once I've added all the citations that I want, and click Write, and I'm going to go back over to my Word document. I can't tell what's being shown here. Okay, are we back to the Word document? Can you see this? The mystery of what's being seen. Okay, so basically what this is, you can see the Word document. Now there's a little superscripted number, that's the footnote. And if I scroll down here, there's the footnote. This is all in Chicago style. And notice what this is. So here it is. That is a fully formed Chicago Manual of Style footnote. Author, title, publication, location, publication, publisher, and date. So there's a book. This was another book. This was an article. These are not the ones that we found, but this is the equivalent of them. So what that did was that's a little footnote that has been created. So that's very helpful. And I say this is somebody who wrote a dissertation in 2000 and did, I think, 30 pages of bibliography manually. This is like, the other cool thing that Zotero does is if you need to, as I just said, compile a separate bibliography. Let's say, for example, I need a works cited list. I'm manually typing that in. Here where it says add edit bibliography, if I click on that, that's going to give me an automatically Chicago Manual of Style formatted bibliography list. So I'm going to click on that of everything that I've cited so far, alphabetical, in correct format. What's even, I'm a librarian, so I get to say nerdy things are cool. If I add another sentence, and I add another citation, again, just is that right? Keep training. So here's the training program one. If I add that, that's that Southwest Institute of Healing Arts thing. It automatically added it alphabetically correctly to the works cited thing. Even if this sentence came first, cutting and pasting. Even though this is the one with the citation, with the Southwest citation, and you notice the footnotes moved accordingly. This is all this works cited is going to do is keep track essentially of what you have already cited and keep a running bibliography as you go. So even if you start this at the beginning of your project, whatever you cite using Zotero is magically going to get updated in this works cited list. So if you've ever written a paper with citations and then had to go back and create a works cited list based on what you cited, it is incredibly easy to accidentally add something that you forgot to cite, or as we know, miss something. Zotero will actually track for you what you have already cited and magically create a works cited list of the materials that you have cited. So it can be very helpful in that way too. And that's pretty much the basics of what I'm going to tell you about Zotero. So basically, Zotero, actually there's one other thing I'm going to show you. Spoke too soon. And I'm going to show you something from my giant library. This has all been about adding materials automatically. Zotero following you around and knowing what you're looking at. You can also use Zotero, and I'm going to use an example of an article of mine, which I just sent off the final edits for, and I'm so happy the next time I see it, it'll be in proofs, for an article on girls publishing in 17 magazine. And this involved a whole lot of reading things on microfilm. 17 magazine in black and white microfilm. So in other words, not at all the same experience the girls who actually read it would have had, because nobody reads 17 for fun on microfilm in black and white. My article was on this series called Curl Up and Read. Because this was on microfilm, I could not drop it in. It's not possible. So what I was doing was I was scanning these articles into PDFs, and then you can manually create records in Zotero. So this is what I did with this. If you see this little green button with a plus sign on it, if you have something that's not available electronically, but you still want to add the citation information, you can use this green button and it'll ask you, is it one of these formats? In my case, no, it wasn't. You click on more and you get a longer list. So I'd create a magazine article, and then I'd get a blank, get info page. And if you put something not so legally into iTunes, you'd see this. So then I would just type in the title. I'm going to do this wrong. Curl up and read. Author's name. I'm again making this up. Publication. So you can edit this manually, and so whatever the volume was, and so all of these things here, where it says 17, those are all things I put in manually. I can put in the volume, I can put in the issue. I don't want to mess this up, so I'm going to do the date that was outside of my range. What page it was on in the magazine. I can actually manually add in all of the citation information. And then, if you see here, I'm going to show you the cool one that the article is about. So this I actually was able to drop in because this actually did show up in one extra place. But for all of these, I manually created them. Do you remember, if you click the arrow, it would tell you if there was a PDF or not. And so I was excited. This is Eve said, this is the founding mother of queer theory, who published a book review in 17 magazine when she was 13 years old in 1964. That's my article. I was very excited to realize what I was looking at. But you can see here that I've been able to type in notes out of the field, and also that I was able to attach the PDF manually. So if you add a manual record using this little plus symbol, and you add maybe a book that doesn't show up in a catalog, you can add a lot of stuff this way. If you use, once you've entered and gotten the manual record of this little paper clip, attach stored copy of file. So if there's a file, like a PDF or something, that is lingering on your hard drive or a jump drive or whatever, you can actually create a record for that document and then attach that stored copy of the file. This is why my Zotero is so big. I have PDFs stored of all of these articles from 17 magazine, which I scanned from microfilm. So I scanned those to PDF, manually created the magazine record, and attached those. So because I've created the citation information, Zotero will draw on this and will cite this. And it also gives me an extra storage space for those precious, precious PDFs, because I do not want to look at microfilm of 17 pretty much ever again. So you can also use it for that kind of storage. You can add things manually. If you remember, we put in an article into this file. Remember, I don't remember which one, but there was an article that we put in that, sometimes you may come across, yes, here's the record for the article, you'll need to enter library loan. You can still put that, click that little icon and put that article into your Zotero. And then later, when the PDF comes from Interlibrary Loan, you can use this little paperclip to manually attach it. So even if we don't have it, you can still drop in the citation and it will be there waiting for you. And then when you get if you want that article and you Interlibrary Loan it, once you get that PDF and save it to your hard drive, you can then use that paperclip attached stored copy of file to add it into your Zotero. So it's kind of an off-brand use of Zotero, but I do use Zotero to save PDFs of things that I've had to scan or that have come from other sources. So that is also an option for you in Zotero. And once you've got that citation information added here, for example, going back to our document, that was a very exciting moment. And I add citation. So I'm just using keywords to get back to that citation. Even though I manually added it, you can see there it's showing up in the works cited list. So Zotero doesn't care if you dropped it in automatically or if you added it manually. As long as that citation information has been added into that get info field, it will put that citation for you into Word. And that's about what I'm going to say. There are some more complicated things that you can do with Zotero. You can create group libraries, and if you're doing collaborative work, going back to my Zotero, um, you can see I experimented one semester with having, I was teaching an honors course and all the students turned in individual Zotero libraries, so I've got those. Comic book chapter is an article I wrote with a colleague, and so we were able to both create Zotero libraries and then share them, so that if he put an article into the shared group library, I would see it too. It's great for collaborating. That's a little more advanced. You can also, if you're using multiple computers, you can sync Zotero across like your work laptop or your home laptop, if you have such a thing these days. You can do that as well. Jason Puckett is our Zotero expert. He's got lots of helpful information on his Zotero guide, which I will send out again to you. If you go to our research guides, it's literally under Zotero. There is he's got handouts there for workshops he's done, and he's got a lot of information about the more advanced features like the syncing across computers and the creating group libraries, if that's something you're interested in. For the purposes of time, I don't want to go into those, but there's more stuff that you can do with this. I really encourage you to kind of throw around and play around. Zotero.org has a lot of great documentation too, if you have other questions. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to go back to my face again and back to this. Does anybody have any questions? Unmute yourself, ask things.
I think I will once I get dip my toes into it, but I think it makes sense so far.
Okay. Well, this has been recorded, so if you have questions or you want to go back over it, you can always listen to this again. I do basic Zotero support. Obviously, I'm teaching this course. So if you have questions, please feel free to contact me. If it's something that's a little bit over my head, sometimes I'm not necessarily the best person. Like, I cannot get this to download. Jason is really good at that. I'm actually going to type in so that you've got it in the chat, Jason's research guide, which has a lot of information on how to with Zotero. And Jason is good at the tech support angle. I'm really good at like showing you how to do stuff. So it's always, if you have questions, you can always start with me. And if it sounds like it's a Jason question, I'll let you know. But basic stuff about how to get things in, how to integrate, how to get things to work, I can help with that if you have more questions. This is kind of meant to be, a taste of Zotero and the cool stuff it can do. And if you have further questions, please feel free to contact me. And the Zotero guide also has a lot of helpful information. It does not have my picture on it, but it's Jason's guide. Not that it needs to have my picture on it, but I can help as well as Jason. Any other questions? Anything else you'd like to know?
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I just had a bad internet connection, so I couldn't follow up with everything. So I'm going to try it, and then maybe if I have any questions, I will just contact you then later.
Please feel free to do that. That's totally fine. And I hopefully the recording
it's going to be like so helpful for us.
Great. Yeah. And I mean, because it's being taped, you'll all be able to see it, and others will be able to too. So please feel, once Lauren makes it available for you, please feel free.
Thank you.
Please feel free to contact me and or share it. And if there's anything else.
I think I'm okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Again, as always, let me know if you have questions. I'm around, and well, I'm here in one place, but I'm technically around. Okay. Are you done taping or?
Yeah, let me make sure I haven't done this before. I'm just going to end the recording.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel.